Welcome back to Hardball. Former CIA interrogator John Kiriakou helped capture the first big al-Qaeda leader, Abu Zubaydah, in 2002. That's 8 years ago. He talked about the capture and subsequent torture in a 2007 interview with ABC's Brian Ross. Let me recount it to you. Brian Ross, quote, "So in your view, waterboarding broke him?" John Kiriakou, "I think it did, yes." Ross, "And did it make a difference in terms of Kiriakou?" "It did. The threat information that he provided disrupted a number of attacks, maybe dozens of attacks." Ross, "No doubt about that? No doubt about that?" Kiriakou, "No doubt." When those words, people who support the use of torture found their validation, but former CIA interrogator John Kiriakou says it's not that black and white. His new book is The Reluctant Spy, My Secret Life in the CIA's War on Terror. John, thank you. How long were you in the CIA?
Almost 15 years.
Undercover most of it, right?
Undercover most of it.
What was your personal experience watching torture or knowing about it?
I never actually saw Abu Zubaydah or anybody else being waterboarded, but when the reports were coming in, a lot of us in the agency were conflicted. Morally, politically, we weren't sure if it was legal. Of course, we were told it was legal in the end, and once intelligence started coming in, we assumed after Abu Zubaydah had been waterboarded one time, because that's what the reporting indicated, we thought it was worth it.
What do you make of waterboarding?
I think it's
83 times,
yeah.
Zubaydah. At what point after you're tortured and you believe you're drowning do you know you're not going to drown, or is it a non-intellectual thing? That you know you may know intellectually you're not going to drown because they've done it to you 82 times so far.
Right.
The 83rd time they're probably not going to drown you, but what does it do? So does it just your whole body rails against it? What makes you start talking?
It's extremely painful, especially in the abdominal muscles, because you're tensing your muscles trying to get out of the way of the flow of the water, and you end up pulling those muscles, and so it's very, very painful, very uncomfortable.
And in this case, Zubaydah, he spoke, he talked, he gave us valuable information.
He did.
How do you know this? Tell me how you know this.
Well, from the reporting that we got from the field. Now, we didn't know that he'd been waterboarded 83 times. Last year, the CIA Inspector General's report came out from 2004, heavily redacted, but it still confirmed that Abu Zubaydah had been waterboarded before the CIA actually received written permission to do it. So my view now in retrospect is that he had been waterboarded 83 times, but the people in the field actually carrying out the waterboarding did not report it. So those of us at headquarters, seeing the one report that finally did come in, believed it had happened once and that he had cracked and provided that.
Do you think if a person in this country were guilty of a murder would admit it under waterboarding?
Oh, I think
would they admit under knowing that they're going to get the gas chamber or whatever?
Oh, I think so. I think somebody would admit to kidnapping the Lindbergh baby under waterboarding.
If they did it.
Even if they didn't do it.
Well, then, if they didn't do it, what good's the information?
Well, that's the thing, is you have to vet the information. And in the case of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and the third prisoner who was waterboarded, Nashiri, it turned out that the information they provided was not true. They simply provided what they thought the interrogator wanted to hear to stop the waterboarding.
Okay, let me ask you about the classic case. What's his name? Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, very smart lawyer up at Harvard, has made the case, very tough on terrorism. He's made the case that in these sort of 10 minutes to midnight situation, like in 24, something like that, where you know somebody's got some information about a bomb that's about to go off and blow up the Empire State Building or whatever, that it would work. Do you believe it would work? Would you get the information from somebody that would allow you to make the phone call, get somebody to stop that from happening?
I think the chance that it would work was worth it in 2002. For example, Osama bin Laden told us after September 11th that al-Qaeda was planning yet another attack that would be so spectacular it would dwarf what they did on September 11th. We had to take the man at his word. So when we caught Abu Zubaydah, we really believed he had that information. The decision was made to waterboard him in order to save additional American lives.
And what did we get at the agency? What did we get out of him? Did we find out that there wasn't such a plot?
Well, it turned out that there was not such a plot. We had routed.
It took 83 times to find out there wasn't a plot.
Well, who knows? I mean, did the information come after the first time?
Well,
or the time?
Why would you keep doing the torture if you got information that you thought was?
Because I think people were panicked at the time, and they just couldn't bring themselves to stop in case that information came out.
Let's take a look at your book here. You've got right now. You write about Brian Ross, that interview you did back several years ago. Quote, "What I told Brian Ross in late 2007 was wrong on a couple of counts. In retrospect, it was a valuable lesson on how the CIA uses the arts of deception even among its own."
I think that's true.
Meaning they didn't tell you?
Meaning they didn't tell anybody at headquarters who wasn't specifically read into a compartment indicating that they were waterboarding him 83 times.
Let's talk morality here. It may not be relevant, but it is to a lot of us citizens.
Sure.
It may not be to agency people. Well, first of all, is it relevant to agency people? Do they make moral decisions?
They have to make moral decisions every single day. Agency people are trained to lie for a living. They lie to everybody. They lie to convince people that those people are their best friends, to the point where targets are willing to commit treason for a CIA case officer. It's a part of the job. So there is a certain morality to it. You have to be able to separate lying for work, for the betterment of the country, and lying just for the sake of lying.
How about the morality of torture?
Absolutely.
Well, what is the bottom line for most officers in the CIA? Do they think it's wrong? Or do they think it's expedient?
Absolutely.
You sound like you believe it's expedient.
Well, I think in 2002 it was expedient. In 2002, I was asked.
And you also say it would be useful in a 10 minutes to midnight situation. So you're with Dershowitz.
It could be. It could be. See, this is the thing, though, Chris. This is a very gray issue. It's not black or white, and it's an issue that intelligent, well-informed, well-meaning
people President of the United States, should the President of the United States authorize the use of torture in fighting terrorism? Yes or no?
I think no.
But you say it's necessary.
I say in 2002 it was necessary because we faced an imminent danger.
It's not unique in this contest we're in against the bad guys.
We've had 8
similar
years.
Situations. Zubaydahs in the future will be picked up.
Well, listen, we've had 8 years, though, in order to improve relations with foreign governments who have sources inside al-Qaeda or other terrorist groups. We've presumably had 8 years in order to improve our own capabilities against al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. It's not 2002 anymore. We had our chance in 2002. It's over. We're supposed to be better at our jobs now.
Bottom line, was the intelligence services, especially the CIA, pushed around by Dick Cheney to make the case for war with Iraq? Were they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I come to that conclusion in the book, too. Dick Cheney, the Office of the Vice President, the Office of the Secretary of Defense, pushed faulty intelligence, fraudulent intelligence produced by Ahmed Chalabi and his
Chalabi?
Ahmed Chalabi.
That guy
crook, again.
He may be the next prime minister. He's over there still trying to take over that country.
He very well could. He sold the White House and the Defense Department a bill of goods, and it took us to war.
I just love the way that Cheney got goosed everybody over there and is saying stuff that isn't true, and then starts using them as a source. Unbelievable. Kiriakou, thank you, John.
Thank you for having me.
You made my day. Anyway, thank you. Cheney, again, the problem. Up next.